Okay, I think we're going to begin and people can slowly come in whilst we're starting the introduction. Welcome everyone to our World Water Day event. Today we are going to talk about what we do when water is scarce. And I would just like to start with a quick introduction about why Kumulus decided to host this event. If you don't know Kumulus is a company that creates water from air with our machines. And we really wanted to first start with why are we here today? Why are we talking about water scarcity? Why are we talking about this topic specifically for World Water Day? So World Water Day was on the 22nd of March, and we wanted to host an event around water scarcity particularly. There are 4 billion people, almost 2/3 of the world's population, who experience severe water scarcity for at least 1 month each year. And this happens even in countries with adequate water resources. We often think about this only affecting the developing world, but it affects the entire world. So that is the element of water quantity that we're talking about today. But there's also an aspect of water quality. 2 billion people do not have access to safe drinking water, and 3.6 billion people lack access to safely managed sanitation. So it's not just about quantity, it's also about quality. We only have 30 minutes, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce our speakers. Before I do that, I just want to say a few logistics notes. We will have some time for Q&A at the end, so please feel free to write questions in the chat. Our team will manage them and then we will ask them at the end. Please mute yourselves if you're not speaking for now, so that there are no interruptions. We have an amazing panel of speakers today, which unintentionally became a panel of women that I'm very happy about. Women in water. So our first speaker is Diane, who is president of the Environment and Climate Change part of the Académie des Sciences in France. She is also a board member and the immediate past president of the International Water Association. Valérie is Director of Brands, Innovation and Sustainability at Spadil Group, which is one of the biggest mineral water groups in Europe. And finally, Ines has a PhD in water treatment and is the host of the Finding Water podcast, along with her full-time job as head of water and climate partnerships. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now so that we can see the speakers as they speak. And I'd love to start with Diane to ask you a question about the government's responsibility on providing water access and water of quality. How do you perceive this issue? And if you could give some examples of your experience of how governments can better manage this, it would be very interesting.
Yeah, first, I think it's very important. Thank you for inviting me. Very important to remember that since 2010, the UN Water took a decision saying that there is a right to water. And of course, every country didn't sign it because it was not, but many countries signed the fact that it is considered a right in the world to have water. So it's a right in France, it's in England, in many countries. But what does it mean? It means that you have the right, when you are a citizen, to have access to water for sanitary aspect and for drinking. And that means that the government has the obligation to deliver the service. The service has not to be free. There is sometimes it has to be paid because it's of course it's costly to bring water at your house, but it has to be at accessible price. And if the price is high, you can find a way for some humble people to receive subsidies or things like that. But that right to water, even if it has been signed, it is not applied. And it's still a challenge, as you have said, because many people still doesn't have access to water in quantity and quality. My experience has been working all my professional life in water distribution. So my main experience was on tap water, how you manage to deliver water in quantity through tap water. And we try, and of course, most of the time we succeed in delivering 24 hours a day water in quantity and quality, which still is a dream, or it's what we would like everybody to have, because it's very convenient to open your tap and to have the water and to be able to trust the quality. But it's very difficult. In fact, it's still complex, and it is not the solution everywhere for the moment. So probably it's important to remind that water is something which is local. I mean, you can have lots of water in the city and no water in something else. When you showed the film or the photo on the desert, it's much more difficult to have water in the desert than when you live in Argentina or Canada, where you have, or even in France, where you have lots of water. So the complexity of delivering water is different from one country to another. For that reason, scarcity of water is not the same. And the second reason is that to be able to develop infrastructure, it takes time, it takes stability, and it means that you have government, local government, able to maintain the infrastructure on long term, to be able to guarantee it, and that is difficult. It is difficult in some countries, which means sometimes that you have tap water, but you don't have it 24 hours. So you have water sometime in the day and sometime not. Probably better than nothing, but it's complex to maintain quality in that case. So we need to understand now that only one model, which is the tap water, and is probably, it's a good model in your dream or in the long term, but we need to be a bit more open to intermediate solution or to other solution, which can be complementary, because we mixed two things: quantity, because when you need water for washing yourself or the sanitary toilets and so on, this water doesn't need to be the perfect water. When we speak about drinkable water, when we speak about health, of course, we wish to have a water that you can drink and could be safe. Most of the time, we consider that the tap water has that responsibility, but it's not always evident. So it's very important that government understand what is their challenge in their country, and maybe open a bit in each country some other vision or some other solution. And of course, bottled waters have their way to solve. In fact, sometimes it's fine to have bottled water, and there are other solutions. So it's very important that the water people work together, not fighting together, considering their own solution be the best, which sometimes is what we, unfortunately, we see, but rather understand that in order to deliver a service, the best is to add all the solution together, which can be complementary. And yes, government and has a responsibility, because they are the one who have to deliver that right to water. So I wanted to remind that, because it's very important, and of course scarcity is more a problem today and will be more difficult probably in the year coming because of climate change. So already for a place where we have the chance to have water, we need to be careful on the use of water, sensible. Sometimes it's difficult because when you are in a water company, your revenues are coming from the volume you sell. So you need to change a bit your mind, saying, well, okay, but I have to help also people to be taking less water from the tap, and it's complex, but it's you need to find people who are able to have innovative vision, and more, and where I insist is being able to work together with the different possibilities. It's very important to share and have that vision that there is not one solution. There is probably different solution, and you can work together in order to deliver that right.
Thank you so much for the opening. I'm really excited to dive into the solutions that you're talking about afterwards. Valérie, I'd love to come to you because Spadel is in the private sector and you are putting in place quite a lot of nature-based solutions specifically. Could you please explain what nature-based solutions are, why Spadel sees this as important, and why you think the private sector has its role to play and how?
So thank you for the invite. Happy to contribute to the discussion today, and I totally support Diane's position on the complementarity of all the solutions depending on where we are and what the status is. So Spadel is a medium-sized family business in Europe, active in mineral waters and natural drinks in Benelux, France, and Bulgaria. We are highly engaged into CSR and especially water management, sustainable water management. We are AWS certified to Alliance for water stewardship for all our sites. So maybe just a few words on what do we do concretely, because you could argue what are you here today? You are depleting all the underground resources. So it's indeed exactly the contrary that we are doing. First, our water is really for hydration and human health. So we are very careful of the extreme preciosity of this liquid. And to preserve this, we do several steps. The first is that we do researches first to understand very well our captation model and how the water is behaving in the underground. And also we take less than 10% of the capacity of our sources. And that's one of the first and major commitment of Spadel, knowing that it's recognized that 20% of usage of the capacity of waters is recognized as sustainable. So we go more into 5 to 10% at Spadel, and that's critical and central in our activity. Then we let nature do his job. We support it also a little bit because it's proven in the product that we offer to consumers that nature is really efficient when it comes to filtration and delivering pure natural water to human body. So it's really one of the most efficient, low cost and sustainable way to get pure water. Much better than any chemical treatment. And what we do is that we help nature by protecting the catchment areas together with local partners and local authorities in order to avoid intensive activity, human activity in the nearby of our sources. And also we help to sustain in the time this model by restoring forest or peatlands or wet areas in order to fuel and nurture and regenerate this local water cycle that are essential to our activity, but also to life and activities in the area of where we are active. So it also has a very interesting positive impact for other stakeholders in our territories, meaning cities, agricultures, and different forest exploitations also. And then the last part of our job is to do tremendous effort in our bottling processes in order to use the least possible amount of water aside the one you can find in your bottle. And today we are part of the most efficient actors in that area, knowing that to bottle 1 liter that you will actually drink, we need 0.4 additional liter in order to make our process active, up and running. So we try to reuse water. We are very scarce in what we use in the different sanitation, yet being very careful on that aspect. So for us, you may say that, yes, so what's the learning for me, the company not active directly in the water? There are several mainly learnings that you can get, is that first we are in the different discussion in federations and politics and so on. We really feel that water is the new topic. We were already talking a lot about CO2 footprint and now biodiversity, but now I would say that these 2-3 years, water scarcity and water quality is much more at core of all the organizational discussions. So it's really top in the agenda, and it's also a major point of concerns of citizens, and we see it in all the different surveys that we do every year. So 3 learnings to be transposed potentially into a wider activity scope. The first is nature-based solutions are always the most efficient, sustainable, and less costly against artificial solutions that you can have in different problematics. Please save water as much as possible in all what you do on your private but also professional scope of activity, because you can really have an impact on your local water cycle. We are talking about oceans and continents and so on, but also locally. You can really impact your local water cycle. So it will guarantee and help the fact that you will continue to have safe water in the time in the future, and it also help the affordability, as mentioned by Diane, on that aspect. And at the end, it will also have a great side impact on biodiversity, on well-being in the different territories you are living in, because everything is linked in nature. So when it comes to temperature, forest, biodiversity, we are part of all the system, and water is at core. So all what you'll do on water will have a side benefit for everybody.
Thank you so much, Valerie. I find it so interesting that you're seeing it become a consumer topic and something that consumers are also very concerned about. We also see that in our work, and it's good that we are seeing this awareness being built. I'd love to go to Ines now. Ines, you host the Finding Water podcast and you promote inclusive solutions, which is a term I didn't actually know of before listening to your podcast. I'd love for you to describe what it is and if you have examples of how we can deal with water and handle water in a better way through inclusive solutions.
Sure, and thank you for the invitation and the celebration of the Water Day today, which is great because every day is a Water Day, so that's good. First of all, let me just grab on the premises that we're talking about water scarcity. And, over the years I've been working with water, I kind of felt that I feel that water is actually very generous. So I find it as an abundant element. And this is no disrespect to the areas that face scarcity. But what I mean is that the problem is that we are having an unbalanced relationship with water. And of course, that then brings us to this position. Diana was mentioning governance responsibility. I'm originally from Portugal. And Portugal, for example, a few decades maybe ago, decided to invest a lot on infrastructure and really made a strong commitment to that. But now we are seeing hydrogen production, plantation of avocados in areas that already are dry and have high tourism. So if you add that then compounded with the extreme weather events, it's really difficult. If we can take some nice measures, but if we challenge the water and challenge the flow of water, then we will get into this unbalanced way. So when we talk about these inclusive solutions, we are talking about solutions that mainly allow a door of opportunity. Sorry, my baby will start saying hi several times during this conversation. He's hearing my voice. But when we talk about inclusive solutions, we're talking about solutions that allow water to be visible. So in the technology that is provided to the society, water is visible to the community. And that allows a direct connection between the community and water and a relationship that promotes this respect. Promotes respect. That's what I meant. So here I wanted to talk about community-led water management solutions, affordable water filtration. That's also been quite nice, with examples, the rainwater harvesting and accessible and adapted sanitation. I will refer to 2 episodes of the podcast. One that is called Bringing Water to Nepal. It's with Surya, and basically he's Nepalese, and he fell in love with water because there was this beautiful tap water, and he was wondering where the water was coming from, behind. And then he decided to study engineering, and now he is living in Denmark, but he makes this bridge to Nepal to teach locally how to install solutions for water. And this was only possible because he had this approach of, okay, what is behind that door? And he had it naturally, but now he's trying to open that door to other people around the city, which is great. The other example is Grace Beller, this one related with inclusive sanitation and adapted sanitation solutions. She is a teacher. This episode is called When Teachers Change the World. I don't know about you. My life has been changed by very good teachers. And basically she started to receive students in the US that were displaced due to water scarcity issues. And she then decided to study water, these things that we do. And so she started to study water, and she's married with a Brazilian. And then when she went to visit some favelas in Brazil, she noticed the sanitation that they had installed, but was not documented. So then she started to document those solutions and bring that knowledge from favela to other favela to kind of teach how to do it in such a way. And she's been doing great work in São Paulo, and now it's probably going also to other big cities in Brazil. And this, of course, aligns with multiple efforts that are being done, not only by city governors and mayors. I have to say there are some mayors that really are trying to do a change, but also institutions. And here I'll refer the International Water Association with regards to open access, because we often talk about price of water and the business and the ROI, so the return of investments not being there. But the reality is that the International Water Association changed its entire business structure in order to make research available and open access. And I find that really important, particularly when we want to create a space where it's possible to drive community-led water management solutions. In my last note, I will refer here that it's really important that we bring non-water people to the conversation, and that touches upon this, how to make water visible to everyone, because the high volumes of water that we're talking about are hidden in things that don't translate to water in people's eyes. So it's not, we see water when we see rain, when we see, the sea, the ocean, there's the flood, there's the drought, but we don't see it when we buy a pair of jeans. We don't see it when we are going to look at our products and what we eat. And it's really important that because the climate agenda with the CO2 footprint has been so disconnected to water, it's really important to bring society up to speed with regards to, you cannot talk about climate if you don't talk about water. And so bringing this to an end, if you work in water or if you are water passionate, try to talk about water with people around you. In the podcast, we have this policy called "Outsiders are insiders," so we bring always someone from the outside, and yes, so just try to do as much as possible to bring people in.
Incredible. And we are going to bring people in now. So if anyone has a question or would like to ask a question to our speakers, please feel free. I already saw a question in the chat, which is directed to you, Diane, about alarming trends in quality and price of tap water.
Yeah, I think both things are a bit connected. Yes, there is some alarm on quality. So the difficulty on quality is that as the science is is higher today. I mean, thanks to research, we are able to find in water things that we were not able to measure years ago. When I started my career 40 years ago, I was speaking about milligram per liter, and then microgram per liter, and then nanogram per liter, and then picogram per, and each time it's 10,000 smaller. So now we see things like that. Of course, some of the chemical products that we find in the water are really dangerous. And we speak a lot now in the medias around the world about the PFAS, the eternal pollutant. Well, they are not all dangerous, but there is a kind of danger. So yes, it becomes more difficult to consider. So what does it mean? It means that now my question I have today is, will we be able to maintain drinkable water at the tap? Because when you speak about delivering 100 liters per day per person or 200 liters per day per person for the tap, because it's more or less what you need when you are living in a flatter house. For the moment, we consider that all the water must have the same quality, and that becomes quite expensive. So if the quality is considered, because we have chemical pollutant who comes, that could be a difficulty to maintain quality in the tap. Not everywhere, but yes, it's a challenge. And if we need to find solution for treating it and getting it out, I'm not sure that natural treatment will be enough for that. It could have an impact on price. However, the price of water is still not so high. When you discuss with a family and you ask them how much they pay for their electricity, how much they pay for their telephone, and how much they pay for the water, most of the time the water is still at a lower level. I mean, it's still something that even they don't know about it. That doesn't mean that it is there is not a value. And so I think in developing countries, people are still able to pay. What is difficult in developed countries, in developing countries, is that the infrastructure is very expensive and it takes time to get the price. And we need to find solution. Maybe the investment can be paid by government, and then the operation can be paid by the people who are using the water. I mean, we need to find models which are sustainable and able. But yes, there is a risk that the tap water increase, the price of water increase, and not everywhere, not in every condition. We need to be careful about having that, but there are some challenge today on the quality of water.
Super interesting. We've got 2 more questions which I actually think are quite related, and I think Ines, you're probably best placed to respond to them. One is about education. Well, there's one element which is about education and making water more visible. How do we do this? And then the other one is about promoting community water harvesting projects in groups that may be in denial that these climate changes are affecting them.
This is a super relevant question with regards to how to make water more visible. I mean, I've been discovering this, honestly. My personal Instagram has nothing, and now I created an Instagram page for the podcast where I'm really trying to learn on how to communicate water, and I'm learning by doing. So I launched on the last World Water Day. This World Water Day, I launched a concept called Water Wednesdays, which means that every Wednesday I will come with some fact on water. I'm really sorry, I have to grab my child, and hopefully that will help people receive some facts and informations that are just based on 30-second information or 10 minutes rants. My suggestion is make it personal. Tell the story that you have experienced, that you have seen or heard with passion, and hopefully people will see it. And with regards to those who do not believe in climate change, my suggestion would be to avoid using triggering words. So instead of talking about the rising temperature, the extreme weather events, and things like that, talk about, okay, so what are you experiencing in your life? And that relates to water. Or did you know about how much water are you wearing? It's so interesting. And how much water are you eating? Things like that, rather than going for the climate narrative, unfortunately. But yeah, that would be my suggestion. But I'm learning on the go, and go for it. Don't be afraid to start something or start a conversation.
Amazing. I know that we're going over time, but I'd love to ask a final question for Valerie before we close. And one just popped up. Valerie, you mentioned nature-based solutions being better or working well. Do they actually work? And can you elaborate a bit more on what do they entail? What does it mean to be a nature-based solution?
It actually works because our waters are really high quality, zero nitrates, zero PFAS, this kind of consideration. And what we would like is that it continues in the future. And as you know, the world is really more and more polluted. And so we really are strongly active in preserving the catchment area, meaning no intensive agriculture, no polluting industry, no usage of pesticides and so on. And of course, we are not owner of all the lands covered by this catchment area. So that's why it's important to know them, and also to be in a very high partnership mode with local stakeholders, meaning landowners, meaning cities, association, forest management organizations, and these kind of actors, in order to together to build long-term plans to have a healthy management of these critical zones, because it's all about managing risks and on a long-term consideration. So that's in a nutshell what we do in each and every point of source that we have in the company.
And how do you measure a catchment area, and what types of solutions are needed?
It's basically geological researchers. So it's a really scientific specialty that enable to understand from where the water comes and where it goes when it's underneath in the underground. And what are the amounts available so that you can really not deplenish the underground resources and disbalance all these sensitive mechanical, in order that, yes, tomorrow we still have enough and qualitative water in our bottoms.
Thank you. Thank you to our three speakers for this amazing talk today. I personally have learned a great deal, not only on how to collaborate between all the different sectors and create inclusive solutions, just like Ines mentioned, but also how the private sector can work towards this and how governments have a responsibility to play within this. To end, I would love to talk about Kumulus and what we're doing with regards to water access. Today, our topic is water scarcity, and what we have been doing in the last 3 years is ensuring better water access for schools in Tunisia. We call this project Mkatebna, sorry. And we work with the private sector, with the Tunisian government, and of course, with our startup in order to ensure better water access for schools. I'm going to share a video, and if you have to leave, please do leave. I'm sorry this has gone slightly over time. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to our wonderful speakers. The video is in French, but you understand what's going on. despite it. So I will share that now. Can you hear it?
Appuie the video in mute.
Attends.
Il va aspirer l'eau à travers la gorge qui se retrouve là et va le refouler par en bas. Et au milieu, il va être refroidi. Là, c'est le filtre à air pour filtrer les particules, pour qu'elles soient potables. Il y a des microbes, il y a de la pollution et il y a aussi de la poussière. Donc, il faut la filtrer, il faut la traiter. On est à 30 degrés et le réservoir il est rempli à 49%.
Soutenu par la Banque africaine de développement, le projet Kumulus a vu le jour en 2021 sur un constat simple.
C'est dans ces zones rurales que l'idée est née, en étant dans les zones plein de désert. On a cherché des technologies qui pouvaient être intéressantes pour remplacer l'usage de bouteilles en plastique, surtout que là, le service de collecte de déchets en plastique n'est pas performant.
Ces machines sont bonnes pour la planète et ils vont changer la vie des enfants parce qu'on va fournir de l'eau pour les familles de cette cité.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We really appreciate you being here. And thank you again to our 3 speakers. Thank you for taking the time and thank you for all your insights. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Have a good day.
Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will stop recording. I don't know how to stop recording. Oh, end meeting.